Good, thank you.
And you show them how to do the vote.
Ms. Bonner, will you take the roll call, please?
Mr. Bakos? Mr. Bryant?
Here?
Mr. Pearson?
Here.
Mrs. Turnley?
Here.
Wilhelmie?
Here.
Mr. Bay?
I am here.
Mr. Lee Powell?
Here.
Mr. Charlie Coleman?
Here.
All are in attendance.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. It is our high honor to introduce Judge John Flythe, who is going to administer the oath of office as requested by former Commissioner Moses Todd last meeting. And if you would all please stand.
I'm glad to be here. Those of you who know me know how much I care about this community. I'm so enthusiastic about the things that we've been seeing. We're all going to continue to do good work for us as citizens of Richmond County, and I'm happy to be here this morning. What I'll do, I will read the entire oath and the response is "So help me God," and then I will ask each of you to come and sign this official execution of oath. If I could please have each of you raise your right hands for the official oath. I, Marcy Wilhelmie, Angela Bakos, Tanya Barnhill Turnley, Clint Bryant, Virginia Cody, Clarence Powell, Charlie Coleman, Lonnie Wimberly, Steve Boucher, Roderick Pearson, and Sheffy Robinson do solemnly swear that I will truly and faithfully perform the duties as a member of the 2025 Augusta Charter Review Committee of Richmond County, Georgia, to the best of my ability. I do further solemnly swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due this state, or any political subdivision or authority thereof, that I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, any other state, or any foreign state which I am prohibited from holding by the laws of the state of Georgia, and that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution of the United States and laws of Georgia, and that I will support the constitutions of the United States and of this state. Perfect. Now I'll administer to you the loyalty oath. I, Marcy Wilhelmie, Angela Bakos, Tanya Barnhill Turner, Clint Bryant, Virginia Cody, Clarence Powell, Charlie Coleman, Lonnie Wimberly, Steve Boucher, Roderick Pearson, and Sheffy Robinson, citizens of Augusta, Georgia, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Georgia. All right, congratulations. I can pass this list up to you. Fine.
Judge Flythe, I was amazed you could come, and I'm thrilled to death that you were able to. Thank you.
I have a jury deliberating now. They had a question a little while ago. Timing was perfect. I told them I'd be out of pocket. I think I'll get back and I'll have a verdict when I get back, I believe.
Very good. Hope so. Mr. Todd, I'm going to ask you to lead us in a moment in the Pledge of Allegiance with gratitude for having brought that up last meeting.
Grady Blanchard.
Grady who?
Grady Blanchard.
Blanchard, okay, yeah, I know Grady Blanchard. So German and Italian, the same.
Can I ask my fellow committee members to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. The committee would like to invite Mr. William Fenoy to the pulpit to address the body.
These are my name and address, and my name is William Fenoy. I live at 1420 Commonwealth Way, Hepzibah, Georgia, 30815. And I'd like to thank this committee for allowing me the opportunity to express my concerns to the Charter Review Team. My first concerns is that I believe that the commissioners and the mayor should run as Democrats or Republicans. I think the election should be a partisan election so that the people who vote know or have some idea of who they're voting for. I've attended a lot of forums, and when asked, what's your party affiliation, as far as the commission and the mayor is concerned, they say it doesn't matter because it's a nonpartisan election. So I think that it should be partisan. My next concern is committee meetings. I don't feel like committee meetings should be held simultaneously. That would give the public an opportunity to, if I want to attend this meeting, I could do it this time, attend the other meeting at a different time. By having it at the same time, you know, I have to make a choice, and I don't think that's fair. And my last concern is that I think that the commission race and the mayor's race ought to be held in November rather than May. Last election, you had over 129,000 eligible voters, 84,000 voted with a 65% turnout, which is pretty good. But in May, you had 128,000 registered voters with only 28,000 turn at the vote, which is a 21% voter turnout. It's a known fact that voters vote when there's a presidential election or gubernatorial election. While out on the campaign trail trying to get votes, many of the doors that I knocked on, people tell me that I only vote for the president. And I think that by having this election in November, you'll have more voter participation in the process. Thanks for allowing me to be here, and hope that you all consider some of the concerns that I just mentioned. You have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Fenoy. Appreciate it very much. All right. You all received from the clerk through your emails the minutes from the meeting of May 29th. Are there any comments or alterations? Ms. Bakos?
I just had a question, actually, as a follow-up to one of his concerns. Carl Vincent Institute, if you can clarify, are city elections, county elections normally held in November? Is that an option, or does Georgia law prohibit that?
We will have to look at that more carefully. So I don't have a clear answer at the moment.
And what about political parties? Is that normally like stated Democrat, Republican as a whole, or is that nonpartisan?
Nonpartisan is the general practice in local election.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments about the minutes? If not, can we have a motion to approve?
I do. Madam Chairman, I don't have it right in front of me, but at one point in the minutes, we used the term red line. Can we change that to strike through? Because red line has such a negative connotation with certain communities. If we can make that one change, that's my only request.
Okay. Madam Clerk, is that okay with you?
That was in the motion, and that's why it's in there. So however, if you'd like to modify that motion, I'll yield to the parliamentarian, but that was in the motion.
May I?
Mr. Kemp, hang on one second, Mr. Wimberly. What else did you want to make a motion? Mr. Wimberly.
And Madam Chairman, this is for the ears of the attorney. Red line is a legal term, and it is used to indicate changes that has been made in an official document. The document that we're dealing with is a legal document, and that's why a red line is there. Strike through or just a format in which you use, but red line is a term, is a legal term. So I think we should stick to legal terms.
Any other comments? Sheffy?
I don't think the minutes should be modified because the meeting happened how it happened. If we agree as a committee moving forward to change the verbiage we use, that's something different, but I don't think we should modify the minutes.
Any other comments? Lonnie, are you still on? Okay. Let's call the question. All in favor of the minutes? Motion to accept the minutes. That's what we need first and second.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Mr. Fouché and Ms. Robinson? Okay. Without correction.
All right. To adopt?
No.
No. Mr. Pearson? Yes, to adopt the minutes.
No.
Okay. Ms. Bryant? Mr. Bryant, I'm sorry. He votes yes. Okay. The other members will vote by the usual sign with your. That motion carries 8-1, 8-3. We have 2 noes. So, is that right? Okay.
Thank you, Madam
With-
Clerk.
Yeah, I'm going to read yes. That's with Ms. Robinson voting yes, Ms. Bakos voting yes, Ms. Wilhelmy voting yes, Ms. Turnley voting no, Mr. Bryant voting yes, Ms. Cody voting yes, Mr. Powell voting yes, Mr. Wimley yes, Mr. Fouché yes, Mr. Pearson no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
is it possible that we can explain to the public why, if they look at it, it says not present and we're here, and it might be a little confusing for people to the thing that we have just rearranged our seating order? Is that possible? I guess I just did it.
It has to do with IT and the seating assignments changing.
No, I understand, Madam Chair, I understand that, and we on the dais understand what's going on, but the people out here have no idea what's going on.
We'll add that as just a line behind the addendum, behind the minutes, if we could.
Okay, to state.
That we switched the order of voting on the dais. There were 4 commissioners displaced from the regular order, and therefore they're showing up on this screen saying not present instead of a no vote.
Yes, ma'am, we'll work that out.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on to old business. Now, Virginia, did you have a comment on?
Oh,
Those are tricky little things for sure. Under old business, last meeting we had circulated the bylaws for this committee and also the policies and procedures. And now we need to have a motion to accept the bylaws to proceed. Have we a motion to do so?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Can you identify, Madam Chair?
you bet. A motion made by Tanya Barnhill Turnley, and I believe Mr. Fouché seconded, or Mr. Powell. They did it
Mr.
simultaneously. Is there any discussion or questions? Ms. Robinson?
so with regard to the, the issue about the committees being at the same time, and I'm clarifying to make sure the timing of the committee is not in the bylaws, correct?
That is my understanding as well, but I think as a matter of pragmatic consideration for people that wish to attend both committee meetings, we would be well advised to take that going forward among ourselves. It is not a requirement, but we will certainly try to make that available.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was not in the actual bylaws.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fouché.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I may, a point of clarification, the meetings are not going to be held simultaneously. They will be held on the same Thursday, but the meetings will not be simultaneously. One is scheduled for 10 a.m. The subcommittee chairs will meet at, I believe, 1 p.m. So anyone having the opportunity to attend both meetings will have that opportunity by virtue of the time difference.
And then going forward, if space permitting, we're going to try to stagger the subcommittees so people that would actually like to attend those as well will have the ability to do so. Mr. Wimberly.
On the meeting sequence, there's an issue with saying just every other Thursday, because then you throw a 5th Thursday in the mix. And what that does, it causes the public to lose some of the system of, or the sequence of the meeting. Because if we did that, then once it's thrown on, once that Thursday comes in there, it throws everything else behind it at a different time set. So I'm saying that in the bylaws, we should make sure that the meetings are held on specific Thursdays If we want to do it every 2 weeks, then we do that. But the term every other week causes confusion among the citizens. And that came to my ears from citizens, not me making it up.
Okay, are there any other comments? Ms. Angela?
I had previously discussed it with you. It's my understanding that the commission is able to vote absent. They're able to call in and vote. And I'm not saying we need to address it today, but it is something that I think would be important to address, especially as we start getting into even bigger decisions being made. And I couldn't find the actual guidelines and the rules on that. And I don't know if Attorney Plunkett or anybody else can help us with that. I think from what I understand, you can 3 times per year call in and vote. I just think that might be important moving forward.
Mr. Plunkett, would you address the practice of the commission, how they handle that question?
So there has to be a majority of the commission present to have the meeting. And then a person can be, I want to say it's twice a year, that a person who is absent from the jurisdiction, so they cannot be in Richmond County when they vote absentee, okay? And then the other part of that is, and that could be, you can vote absentee if there is medical, advice that says that you are unable to attend. We do have an obligation under the charter review ordinance that if you miss more than 3 meetings in a row, that can cause you to be removed from the committee. So hopefully that addresses that. As to, if I may, Madam Chair, my recollection is that we had been meeting, the idea was to meet the 1st and 3rd, and then the request was to meet every other week. And so that's why that's adopted into the bylaws. I did reference in the editing May 1st as the first meeting, so that you would go every other from that point forward. The other issue is it could be a policy issue or a practical issue. While I don't think there's a legal prohibition, but having subcommittees at the same time, even if they are streamed or, YouTubed or whatever that may be, it may be appropriate, not so much as a modification to the bylaws, because that way we'd be doing that again, but I think it could be a motion that says that we will just not have, unless there's some approval that we're going to have subcommittees at the same time, just as a motion that we have separate times. The commission typically meets on a 5-minute section, and as you know, it's unlikely that any type of committee meeting of the Richmond County is going to be less than 5 minutes. But the main reason why we do that is that if there's a lack of a quorum, you cannot begin the meeting until the next time. So you don't want to stagger them, an hour or whatever. You would simply want to have it probably one to follow the other, and with the understanding that the first meeting would be hypothetically at 1 o'clock, with the second subcommittee to begin immediately thereafter, but no earlier than 1:05. And I think that would address everything. And I certainly think it would, no offense to y'all's schedules and things like that, but the staffing issues for the rooms, and we've mentioned this before, the audiovisual, the having people available, and also the reserving the room is a little bit difficult. So I think that if y'all would move forward with such a motion that subcommittee meetings will be consecutive and not concurrent, you can always override that for a particular meeting, but I think that would be probably good for the community, good for the staff, and also probably good for y'all in the sense that you would have the ones who are in the second meeting would actually hear what's going on in the first one and not have to watch it at a later time. But I'm obviously not on the committee and I can't make the motion, but that would be advice to potentially have those consecutive. I think I addressed everyone's questions. If I didn't, I ramble sometimes, so I forget those.
No, I'm glad you do it more eloquently than anybody else. Ms. Robinson.
A point of clarity. So Could it be feasible with the staffing changes that are necessary for this to have our regular meeting first and third and then have subcommittees second and fourth?
Again, that's staff and availability and conflict issues.
Okay.
The other issue is having, there really are two types of meetings, I guess, that you would say that the subcommittee or the committee can meet absent the Carl Vinson Institute, but if you're wanting them to be present, there's a limitation on their engagement of how often to be here. So if you were having a meeting or subcommittee meeting that was to discuss their edits, they may or may not necessarily have to be here to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? So the ability to call for special, subcommittee meetings is basically at the will of the chair or a majority of the committee members. So we could do that as on an as-needed basis. But every other week and every other week is now a weekly meeting, and I'm not entirely sure that all of y'all signed up for
Living here. 24/7, that's right. Mr. Wimberly, do your comments pertain to the minutes?
No, it's pertaining to a red Corvette. It's the minutes.
Okay, very good. If there are no other comments,
It's about the minutes.
please proceed.
Okay, so all that the attorney just said, he didn't give an appropriateness of the meetings, as I understand it. He just said that he put it on there every other week because that was what discussed.
That's what we voted on.
Efficiency.
We cast a vote for that.
Yeah, we did, and I casted a no vote.
I know you did.
Efficiency says that you set it up in a manner in which all parties are able to adjust to it. He just talked about Carl Vinson. If Carl Vinson knew we was meeting on Mondays and on the first and third Thursday, their schedule is better managed than it is that we're meeting every other week.
They have no problem with that schedule. We put it on that
You said
for
that.
ease.
You said that, but you also just talked earlier. This is. I want my time. You talked earlier about how getting Carl Vinson down here, meaning they need a schedule to get down here.
That's right.
And not a haphazard.
It's
turn
not
to get down.
haphazard to say every 14 days. Come.
Not an argument. This
Okay.
is.
Any other comments? Let's call for the vote. Please cast your votes.
You couldn't. I call for my personal privilege. You don't cut me off like that. I'm trying to make a point.
We cast a vote, and you did cast your vote, and so this matter is settled as far as the rest of us are concerned.
No, we got to vote on. We got to vote on accepting.
You cannot put a second motion in place when we're handling minutes.
I'm not putting a second motion.
We're not. Okay.
I'm making a statement because a statement was made down there in reference to how we're addressing these minutes. The citizens want to be sure about what we're doing, and I think if we don't have a set date, that we're not serving them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, Ms. Robinson?
Point of clarity, we're not handling the minutes. We were supposed to be voting
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
charter.
You're correct about that. We're handling the bylaws for this committee.
Bylaws, I'm sorry.
All right.
So make sure that's clear, that's all.
We have a motion on the table.
Second.
All right. Please cast your votes. We have two motions on the table now for the same thing, I believe.
Well, no, we only have one.
All right. All right.
That's Ms. Turnley and Mr. Fouché.
Correct.
Approving.
You want to call the
Yes.
votes first?
Ms. Wilhelmy,
Yes. Approve.
Ms. Turnley,
Yes, approved.
Mr. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant.
Don't forget Clint.
We're going to introduce.
That motion carries 10-1 with Mr. Wembley voting no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If I can fix something I should have done in the very beginning of the meeting, I would like to introduce the representative who is going to be taking committee member Marvin Cole's place. And this is Mr. Clint Bryant, who probably doesn't need the introduction. But we'd like to welcome you and very happy that you're with us. Thank you. All right, moving on to adopting the policies and the procedures similar to the bylaws. It is a very thorough description of how matters are to be handled. Are there any comments that we need to be aware of? Otherwise, can we have a motion to approve?
Approved. Second.
Okay, so Committee Member Coleman moved, Mr. Fouché seconded. Any additional comments? If not, let's go ahead and cast the votes.
Okay. Ms. Wilhelmy?
I approve.
Ms. Turnley?
Approve.
Mr. Pearson? Mr. Bryant? Okay. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let us move on to the vote on striking the anticipatory language from the existing charter for Mr. Bryant. I think, Ms. Robinson, you were here to hear it last time as well, but Carl Vinson had recommended striking various forms of the charter that no longer are applicable or that really don't belong in our charter. And so we are working our way through the process of those various categories of stripping that out. The anticipatory language deals with what would happen if Hepzibah decided to vote themselves in, if Blythe does this. It's fairly straightforward. Can we have a motion to approve removal of the anticipatory language?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Who seconded? Mr. Wimberly? Okay, so Mr. Coleman moved, Mr. Wimberly seconded. Is there any discussion on this? If not, let's go ahead and cast our votes.
Ms. Wilhelmy?
Approve?
Ms. Turnley? Approve. Mr. Pearson? Approve. Mr. Bryant? Approve. Thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to new business. We have established 2 dates. We'd hoped to have all 3, but there's a bit of a scheduling issue with facilities. We are planning on holding a public hearing Monday, July 7th at Warren Road Community Center. And I believe it's Diamond Lakes on the 8th. Is that right, according to your recollection? Diamond Lakes on Tuesday, July 8th. And we are attempting to schedule a 3rd one on the 10th. All 3 will be 6 to 8 p.m. And the community is invited to come ask as many questions as they have. We'll do our best to do it within the time frame allotted. We're waiting to hear from the library and to determine whether or not Henry Brigham is large enough for a public hearing. Anybody that wants to work on that on this committee, you all let me know, because I welcome the help too. All right, secondly, for our next meeting on June 25th, we are planning on establishing or hosting 2 of the 3 mayors, past tense. Mr. Deke Copenhaver and Mr. Bob Young will be present on the agenda June 25th. Mayor Hardy Davis will come at the meeting on July 7th. He was going to be out of town and had to regret. It is. 25th is a Wednesday because there is a commission meeting on Thursday, so our meeting got bumped back a day, and thank you for asking, Dan. That's a very good point. Our meeting is in 13 days, so 2 weeks from yesterday. Okay. Moving on, I want to introduce Rex Facer to please take us through the public survey to detail how that's going to work, and then we'll move on from there.
We'll get it pulled up here momentarily. I believe I now have it pulled up on the web version. So we have created a simple survey that citizens can fill out either on their phone, on a laptop, or any other computer that has access to the internet. It starts off with a simple statement about the purpose of the survey, that it's to help the Charter Review Committee get information about how they feel about how the government structured and operates. We then asked for their email address. The only reason we're asking for that is just so that we can track and make sure we don't have duplicate comments. We then, there we go. Thank you. We then asked them what works well with the Augusta Richmond County government. We asked them what doesn't work well. So we're trying to get their sense of what's working, what's not working, so that you know kind of where their primary concerns are. And those are open-ended answers, so that they don't have to choose. They're not limited within reasonableness on what they say in those. We asked them what the Augusta Richmond County.
Excuse me, Rex. Can I take a moment and ask everybody to please turn your cell phones up as you were agreed to do at the first meeting?
Oh.
I'll make sure mine is too. While it is. Good. Is phones off?
I got a question. He said he posted that survey. I was looking for it because I don't remember seeing it.
It has to go through the channels here in town.
Okay.
Yes.
But we didn't
So it's
post,
not-
we're
it's
not
not
going to post
posted
it
yet.
until
Okay, then.
we've,
All right.
we've been debriefed. Thank you.
Yes, it
I'll
hasn't,
turn it off then.
Thank you.
it hasn't been posted yet, but we wanted to bring it to your attention first. We asked also what Augusta Richmond County can do to improve. And then we asked them about specific aspects of the charter that they would like to see altered. And we encourage them, if they have read through and have the specific sections, to identify those specific sections with the pagination that we have in the common document. And then we also asked them what they think is working well in the charter, so that we get a broad sense of where they are. Our plan is under the guidance of the committee to have that posted and available. And so that you can share it broadly with the community, and we can then get broad community input. So that's the plan.
I think to encourage frank advice, is it possible for you all, when you're collecting things, to go ahead and have the emails to eliminate duplicates, but then not share the rest of it with us?
Yes, that is our intention.
So it's a totally anonymous survey?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Let me call Ms. Backus.
Regarding the email addresses, can you actually remove them and not share them even with an open records request? Because I think an open records request would grant them access to that. I personally, I have like 5 email addresses, so I could fill out the survey 5 times. So catching those emails isn't actually going to prevent duplication.
It is not perfect. No, we have flagged that from a device that can only be done once, and we can remove the email If you would prefer.
I personally like the idea of it being completely anonymous. I do have another question too. On any part of it, is it going to ask if the person is a Richmond County resident?
We can ask that, if you would all like that. We're happy to add that.
One thing I want to make sure we don't do is make this survey polarizing, because the questions are asking, what do you like about the charter? How many people have read the charter? How many people read our Constitution? So I think we should stay away from questions like that to assume folks are that informed, so much as we want to know what they think is working, what they think isn't working, and what ideas do they have to improve. We also need to factor in that everybody does not have a digital device to do this. So how are we going to reach the people who don't have access to broadband and things of that nature? What are we going to do to get as much public information as possible? I do not want to have this committee go down in history as not listening to the people because we're trying to push agendas. So as much information as we can get from the people, we should be diligent in doing that. So this, I don't know if we need to canvass for it or how we get to the people who aren't, but passing this information out, depending on how it gets out, is also can be polarizing as well. We have the same issue with the zoning ordinance survey going on right now. Many people know about it, and many people don't, because it's shared on social media. Not everybody's on social media. So let's factor that in. Definitely still on board as well with the anonymous. A tracking cookie of some sort should be used instead, because open records does leave too much scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Is it possible for CVIOG to employ tracking cookies rather than email addresses?
We will have to check into that.
Okay.
We are governed by the software that the university has access to.
All right. If I can ask, Lee, if I can ask just one question real quick of Sheppy. Sheppy, where would it be, I'm trying to think about how we do a paper version of the survey. What are your thoughts on how we accomplish that portion?
Depending on when we put the survey out, we could do it at these public hearings.
That's an excellent idea, too.
We could also have, a day at the library or the mall. Those are places people can get to. If we need, I don't know if we can get some interns to go out to the senior centers, things of that nature. Again, don't know how deep we want to dig into it, but we should still have options.
Yeah, I think public hearings, that's wise to do that. I was hoping to have, I know when we were going to put it out online, we were going to have a final point so that we had access to things. I would still personally prefer to have the public feedback gathered online before the public hearings so that we can tailor the public hearings to the areas of concern. Okay, if I can call upon Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I 100% agree with Ms. Robinson. Having been out in the general public, very few people know we have a charter, much less where it is, and certainly even fewer have ever read it. One of the things that I would like to see from the survey is that we have copies, and that if we go to neighborhood meetings, Mr. Wimberly is ahead of probably half of Richmond County for neighborhood meetings. He could have those surveys at the different meetings that he attends, and that would probably reach a lot more people than even social media. A lot of people, when you see government on social media, they go the other way. But I certainly agree 100% that most of the people, and I'm going to say if we had 2% of Richmond County that had read the charter, I would be stunned. So thank you very much, and Ms. Robinson for bringing that up.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Ms. Barnhill-Turley?
Madam Chair, I agree with both Steffi and with Lee. I think one resource that maybe we should use a lot are our local community centers. I mean, those are in each community. People know where they are. I think that would be much more efficient than, I guess, hiring people to go pass out things in the mall. Anytime I've done that from a marketing standpoint, they take it, then they throw it in the trash, and it never gets answered. So if it's a paper copy and it's at a community center with a specific date to drop it back there or here at the municipal building or whatever, I think we need to have a finite end date so that we can move on, because we still got a lot of work to do.
We do. Thank you for that comment. Does this committee feel like if we did put paper surveys out in circulation, that 2 weeks' time is enough to gather that? What is the appropriate time?
So I think it's okay for us to do the digital version and have that ready for these committee meetings. And then the paper, we give it 30 days.
Okay, that's reasonable. Does that suit with everybody else?
I think, Madam Chair, I think 30 days is too long. I would like to see maybe a 15-day, a 2-week time period, because the longer we drag this on, and we will never end. I know there are different ideas floating around in the atmosphere as to when we should finish, but the longer we put it off, we will never get finished. So to me, 2 weeks is appropriate, especially since it's going to be online. But I think also the bigger question, this might be for the clerk, what is reasonable to get the survey done, get it printed, and get it out to these locations? What does that timeline look like? Because that's going to dictate how long it takes to get responses back.
I think as soon as Carl Vinson takes care of that, I'll take it off your plate and take it to Kinko's and take care of it. All right, very good. Now, let's see who we've got here. Ms. Sheffy, are you next up here?
No, I believe Lee is next.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Lee
Powell. All right, very good.
If we do put these surveys out in the community centers, somebody from this committee is going to have to visit those community centers and indoctrinate the folks doing who's in control of those papers, actually what they are, what they're for, and to keep them so that they don't end up in the trash. Then somebody's going to have to go by and collect them. But I do think somebody will have to have control of those wherever we put them out. Somebody's going to have to watch after them. We can get the people at the community centers possibly to help us and follow through with collecting them every day, setting them aside, and making sure that they are returned back to us.
Okay, Chair acknowledges Ms. Backus.
I just wanted to address the 2 weeks versus 30 days. I think for the paper, 30 days is actually more appropriate. And I say that only because depending upon the reason why seniors may be attending the community center, sometimes those events are only once a month. So if we just say, okay, you only have 2 weeks, but they don't even know about it, and that's part of the struggle, right, is helping to inform them. But if they're not going to be there until a week after we cut off the date, then it's kind of useless. Whereas 30 days kind of covers it. And if they miss it, then they miss it. But at least we've made the most effort as possible. And as far as the community centers, I've worked with quite a few of them. They have amazing employees that I think would be more than happy to help us with that. Maybe if we just have an envelope that people can put theirs into, and have a little table where they can grab them and put their envelope, into afterwards. I wouldn't anticipate a problem with having community centers engage in that with us.
Okay. The chair acknowledges Ms. Cody.
So my neighborhood, we have a neighborhood association meeting once a month. As a matter of fact, the second Thursday. And a lot of the neighborhoods out there in South Augusta have monthly neighborhood meetings. So that's why I said I go for the 30 days, because it just gives them enough time. Then we have the Neighborhood Alliance meeting the first Saturday of every month. You have a lot of people that attend there, and there are a lot of, older people, and you know, we could get that information to them if we just had the time to get it to them.
Thank you. All right, we have Ms. Sheffy.
To make this easier on everybody, my suggestion would be we put out the digital version, we use the data from the digital version to power the community meetings. At the community meetings, we have surveys available and collect them at the community meetings as well. And then we have leave-behinds for the community centers and have a deadline of July 31st to get those back. That way, we're still at least operating on some data as we progress, but still give people the opportunity to have their voice heard. If their voices change something between now and the 31st, then we address that in our August meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Coleman.
I'm listening to everybody's thoughts and ideas on this, but to me, the key is the news media. I think we ought to get with the news media and ask them to educate the public on the program that we're going to put forth to have their input and let them know where you decide to have it at and the information that we're looking for from them and why. And I'm talking about Channel 6, 12, all the TV stations and newspapers. They would help us greatly on getting the word out.
Very good. Thank you. All right, we have Mr. Wimberly.
And I'm in agreement with 30 days. Even the planning and zoning just had a survey online, and it was there for more than 30 days by itself. And for me, I went on that twice to finish mine because I got interrupted. But the thing about it is that when you want it to be more than 30 days, and if you date the document that you're going to pass out, then they'll know that there is a come-to deadline and that they can meet. So I think that would be more appropriate to get maybe a faster response and get participation. I don't want us to look at this as something that we have to rush through because we don't have a deadline, if I recall. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Turnley.
I guess might be a question for Rex. If we go with the 30 days, how long do you think it would take your group to collate that information and get it back to us?
So, yeah, some of that depends on kind of being able to read, the writing. So some of it, and I've got to talk with our survey research group because they specialize in this kind of thing and figure out kind of the best mechanism to help you gather this in a paper form. And so, but my guess is that we're talking at least a couple of weeks, from the close until we have kind of usable data, and that would be a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay. So you're saying all things being equal before the end of August?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you this.
The digital one, on the other hand, that as soon as we shut it off, we can have very simple descriptive statistics pretty quickly.
And what is your recommendation for the length that survey should be active online?
Well, I guess I have two answers. You can look at the data at multiple points. And so I would suggest actually having it open just as long as you have the paper copy open. But you can essentially take a snapshot. So, say, on June 25th, we decide that's going to be our snapshot date. And we then have 3 or 4 days to pull and analyze the data before the hearings so that you could have kind of a snapshot. I think that would be a very doable kind of strategy.
And let me ask you this. If we had a snapshot date of July 1st, and I'm not even sure what day of the week that is, would that give you enough time to at least get us some results for that first meeting on the 7th?
I believe
or
that,
something.
I believe that would be possible, yes.
Okay, great. Because I don't want to go into these meetings, into the community meetings blind. We need to have something concrete, at least to start, and after that, continue discussions.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for my question.
Yep.
Thank you.
So when would, with the changes we've suggested as far as questions and things like that, when would you have the completed survey so that we can put it into the community? Because I believe we at least need 15 days to have enough for this snapshot for June 1st, July 1st, rather.
Yeah, so, today's the 12th. And so that would have us turning it around by essentially Monday or Tuesday. I think that is not unreasonable for the digital version. But again, I'm going to double check on a couple of the technical pieces on the tracking kinds of things. But in terms of the basic logistics, that's quite easy.
And Ms. Bonner, anything that we go to post to the website goes through your office or goes straight to Mr. Lewis? That's a mechanical question.
Would do the posting, but of course, we have a chain of command. You can send it through the clerk's office. We could forward it over there to them because they're being bombarded not only with this committee, but every department that's in the organization. So just to help them out a little.
That'd be great. Thank you for the advice. Are there any other questions for Carl Vinson? All right, very good. Is there any other business that must come before this main committee today? Ms. Robinson.
So for clarity, we're supposed to have our first subcommittee meetings today.
Yes.
And are we going to adjust those times today?
If the rooms are available, I don't know. That's a clerk question. It's posted, okay.
It's been posted for those times, so it would be appropriate to move forward today. And to some extent, this is, I think, a little bit introductory, so it's not probably the entire will of this body, but I think it would be appropriate to move forward at the time that it's posted. It would be one thing if you said at 1 and you started at 1:05, but to say we have a committee starting at 1 and wait till 2 o'clock or 2:30, that would be, disservice to anyone who was interested in it.
Additional question there. So when should we address this timing issue?
There are two ways you could do it. One is you can make a motion that says that this is how we're going to do it forward, or I think the chair also has a fairly good earful of the timing and issues like that, and that she could schedule them with the clerk with that understanding of back and forth. So you could do it either, call it mandatory by motion, or you could allow the clerk to have the discretion to work with the chair to come up with appropriate times.
Okay.
Then I move that we let the clerk and the chair work out the appropriate times and also the locations, because that has been an issue of trying to find vacant rooms with not just our committee, but as the clerk has said, other committees meet at these rooms at the same time. So that's my motion.
Ms. Turnley, for purposes of the motion, is it that they could still have them concurrent, or is that to be that they'd be at different times?
I think I'll let them work that out. I think a lot is going to depend on room availability. If Ms. Bonner, please correct me, because that was part of the issue with the meetings being scheduled as they are today because of other committees having meetings. Am I incorrect?
No, ma'am. Well, let me just say this. The clerk's office was requested to have, we asked for consecutive. We were told that concurrent works best for the committee. Now, having worked with the commission for a number of years, their meetings have always been consecutive. As the general counsel shared with you all earlier, we schedule them 5 minutes apart so that in the event we don't have a quorum, we can move next to the next committee, and it saves time. Also, a staffing issue from the clerk's office for us to have to be in one meeting and then another meeting, that hampers our office and our ability to do our work for the commission. So those are the issues that we've incurred with this. So I'm I'm in favor of consecutive, so.
Well, then, let me ask you this, Madam Chair. Is it possible, and even Mr. Plunkett, is it possible that during each subcommittee meeting today, we can kind of hash out some of those things with your concerns being paramount as to how we move forward? That way, if we need to move times, we still got time to get that done. But I think you're right. Everybody knows that we're meeting concurrently today. And as Mr. Plunkett said, that's very, very introductory. So maybe that's where the committee members hash out, because even if it's consecutive, we got to figure out who goes first and who goes second.
That could be it.
Ms. Turnley, if I may, I think whether or not these are going to be consecutive or concurrent is really a matter for this body, not the subcommittee.
Okay.
And then, as to who goes first and who has to wait till the second meeting, the county commission, I think on a quarterly basis, rotates who goes first. I think that has certain positive issues, but, we're going to have subcommittees, I assume, up until the last day. So, what I would be concerned about is, you have a certain idea from the surveys, I would anticipate, which are the bigger issues for the public at large. And to get too detailed and we're too stringent, let's just say that the one meeting is just really boring, okay? And one of them is very, very hot topics. But both of them are still going to take an hour and a half. Well, you're going to have, but you schedule it for 1:05 because in case there's not a quorum. So you got a lot of people waiting unnecessarily. And so I think that if you allow the chair with Carl Vinson based on that to say which one goes first, y'all will know in advance, but I think the hot topics where you have a lot of people showing up, it's always to get that, not from a deceitful matter, but if you've got 40 people sitting here to talk about something and they have to wait an hour and a half or 2 hours to be heard, they tend to late, they leave or they don't. And so I would, to the extent you can allow the chair to have flexibility with the understanding that the clerk would prefer them to be consecutive, which I personally also, would advocate because today I have a different attorney carrying one meeting, I'm hearing another one. Consecutive just has a certain easiness for everyone, but also be in light of what's going to be talked about that week, and that maybe that's the one that goes first. But you certainly could say, we alternate every week, every meeting, just whatever y'all want to do, but make it the body making the decision, not the subcommittees making the decision, would be my recommendation.
Okay. For me, I completely agree and completely understand. I think for me, the only caveat, and this might even be a question that Mr. Wimberly might have, I think if the finance committee goes first, it needs to go first all the time, because I think flip-flopping back and forth gets people confused. That's just me. And if the majority votes the other way, then that's fine. That's just something I think that needs to be considered.
And that's certainly a reasonable position to take, and I understand that. And I have no objection to that. Or suggestion against that. I'm not this. I'm just saying that have the body decide how this works, not each individual subcommittee, because that creates potential conflicts.
Agreed, because they would still have to bring it back to the full body anyway. Exactly. Thank you.
Mr. Guilfoyle.
Oh, I'm sorry. And to support Attorney Plunkett and Ms. Turnley, we do have one committee that continuously meet at the 1 o'clock hour. So there is a possibility for that, but I agree with Attorney Plunkett. That's something this body needs to decide, which meeting you prefer. And ours is public services because it deals with the public a lot. So to less inconvenience the public at large, they hold that meeting first every month. It's dealing with citizens on licenses and things like that.
You and I both are going to have times where we're going to have tight spots, so I'd kind of like to maintain a little bit of flexibility so we can work around it.
Well, it's totally, that's what I'm saying, we were just giving out options.
Absolutely. Mr. Fouché.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's important for this body to realize that the City of Augusta has engaged the Carl Vincent Institute for a certain dollar amount. At some point in time, we may run out of those funds and have to reallocate funds for them to be active in our meetings, and I hope that's not the case. So I'd like to be extremely efficient in the way we use Carl Vincent Institute and their time. They're not sitting here for free today. So the idea of having alternating subcommittee meetings might have some merit, whereas finance meets one Thursday, and then the next Thursday, my committee would meet to discuss our business at hand. Does the Carl Vincent Institute think that has merit?
I think it's worthy of discussion. It would be much more challenging for us to accommodate kind of every week down here in Augusta.
Well, no, sir, not every week. So my suggestion was whenever the subcommittee meets, excuse me, the main committee meets,
okay,
one of our two subcommittees will meet thereafter.
I think that would be a very reasonable strategy.
Madam Chair, may I make that motion?
You may.
I move that the subcommittees meet every other main committee meeting.
Madam Chair, I think that would be in the form of a substitute motion to Ms. Turnley's, because I think Ms. Turnley had already made a motion.
She had.
I can withdraw my motion.
Turnley.
Okay.
Can I? Okay.
I don't know if there was a second, though.
She didn't get a second?
No, ma'am.
Not for now, I don't think I did.
Okay, but we only have one motion.
And that would be Mr. Fouché's, if he gets the second.
I can't second my own motion.
Lee Powell seconds.
Okay.
So with that motion made, we need to discuss if finance should meet today or the other committee.
I think today, since it's already in the public domain, we understood it to be introductory meetings as opposed to massive debates, that we go ahead and hold the meetings today in succession. Just, pardon me, as scheduled, get through them, move on this next time. So there's a motion on the table, and let's go down to Mr. Wimberly, and I've got you ladies too. Angela's.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we heard from the people that were in the queue before we voted.
Yes.
So I would have hoped that you would have heard from everybody before a motion was allowed to be made so that the motion could be adjusted as needed. I don't think we're doing the community a service if we're deciding which day we're going to have which committee meeting. If we have two committees and we're going to meet on a day, we should meet on that. Both committees should meet, because the community is somebody we have to consider as well. If we are efficient, we should not operate in ambiguity. If we know what we're going to talk about that day, we know if we need Carl Vincent there or not. I don't think for subcommittees, there's an opportunity where we need Carl Vincent at every meeting. So again, if we're going to be efficient and not operate in ambiguity, we need to set consecutive dates, consecutive timing for the meetings, have both committee meetings on those days with respect to the community so they can come and be heard. My frustration with this is that we are here to do a public service, but we seem to be wanting to excuse the public from the process. And that is not fair.
I don't think that's true either, but.
That could be true.
Yeah,
It feels that way.
I don't know why. I think maybe that may be because of other comments. But believe me, we are working, as you know, because we're soliciting, how do we get the word out about our committee meetings, our public hearings? We're working very hard on that.
Absolutely. But we also have to be cognizant that we are available for public opinion.
Right.
And the public also needs to be able to know when these things are being held. But if we're doing too much flip-flopping and changing, we don't give them the ability to be a part of that process.
All right.
Man.
So let's see, Mr. Wimberly, did you
Thank
want
you,
to
thank
speak?
you. I did.
Okay.
I do, rather. Okay. And I agree with Ms. Johnson in her statement wholeheartedly, and I'm questioning the committee chair in reference to, do we have any information right now that Carl Vincent had provided to the committee chairs that we don't know about? Because it's my understanding, if you go into a committee meeting, you should know what you're going to be meeting about. So I don't have anything to talk about. Okay, so that's number one. So if we meet today, I have nothing to talk about. Two, if you're going to have a committee meeting, it has to be set so the public can participate. And I've said that about how we're trying to schedule our own meetings here. It has to be a set time so that they're better able to schedule themselves to participate. We're not here to determine how many dollars to be spent, because there's a thing called a change order. So we need Carl Vincent here longer than the government who set this committee up to provide the funds to keep Carl Vincent here if needed. So I'm here to say the committee meeting should be consecutive. Now, how you want to go, who go first, I'm not really interested in that. It just makes sure they're consecutive and the public can participate.
Ms. Backus?
I just wanted to share my opinion. I personally think that having them both running at the same time, it bothers me because I'd like to participate in the other committee as well and hear it firsthand. I know I can go on and watch it afterwards, but sometimes it is different seeing it in person and seeing people's facial expressions. I do think that Mr. Foucher's idea about every other meeting having that one subcommittee, I think that's a good idea, because if this one subcommittee is here and then if we have it set where, let's say, finance is always first and then form of government, if it's a really spicy day for form of government, then finance is going to have to feel like they have to hurry up and rush through it. Whereas if we're only having that one subcommittee meeting per day, then it doesn't feel like you need to rush through it as much. I'm not for every other Thursday, just to clarify, because we've already, initially it was supposed to be 2 Thursdays per month, so we've already moved up the time that is expected from us. So I think, and same with Carl Vincent, I don't know that they could accommodate an every Thursday thing, but I agree with Mr. Foucher about the every other meeting having one subcommittee meeting afterwards.
Robinson, I believe you're next.
Yes, since there's a motion on the table, I don't know if this needs to be subsidiary or not, but with regard to comments, sure, let's make an adjustment. If we do it that way, then maybe we have form of government first, the first meeting of the month, and the finance on the second meeting of the month. Make it succinct where people know which meeting they want to go to. If we're going to do it that way, I'm fine with doing that way, but make sure we have it set so that we don't have to keep flip-flopping either. So I don't know if we need to adjust the motion or how we need to go about that.
So we have, pardon me, Madam Chair, may I address?
Please answer the question.
So we have 5 Thursdays in 3 months. So every other Thursday, we're meeting. Some months, that'll be 3 Thursdays instead. So the first and third, language-wise, doesn't work, because there are months that'll be the first, third, and fifth Thursday. So my suggestion is, if finance meets on the first Thursday of the month, it'll be form of government the second, then it'll be finance again on the fifth Thursday of the month. I think we're saying the same thing.
Can I respond?
Please.
So if we do that, then that means one committee will have more time than the other. Because if they fall on that fifth one committee will have more time than the other.
The other Thursday.
It goes every 14 days into.
We get 3 more meetings this week.
That was the wisdom behind doing it that way, was so that it was the same increment between every meeting. And so if you put subcommittees on that same type of schedule, it's the same increment.
My concern is just we don't, it's ambiguity for the people. If we have a third Thursday in that month, we could opt to not have a subcommittee meetings that on that third Thursday. That could be an option as well.
I think Ms. Bonner could do an excellent job of communicating with the community when our meetings are. She has so far.
Also, the next month that winds up with 3 meetings is not until October now. So we have a motion on the table. Excuse me, Mr. Bryant?
Well, I think it just comes down to what's more efficient. And we talk about efficiency. And I agree if that having one subcommittee meeting relative to our meeting is a good idea, because it allows not only us, but it allows the community at large to concentrate on that meeting. So I would be in support of the motion.
Okay. Also, if we find that the subcommittees need to meet more frequently, I think there's no ambiguity of having those meetings follow consecutively, assuming Madam Clerk and I managed to get that pulled off. But I think I agree with the notion of no ambiguity, so. All right, we have a motion on the table. Are we able to, or Mr. Fouché, can you restate it?
The motion is that one subcommittee meet every other Thursday of our main committee meetings.
Would that be starting after today? Okay.
Madam Clerk, if you'll call the vote, we'll go ahead and take it up.
Ms. Wilhelmy?
Yes.
Ms. Turnley?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson? Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, Mr. Substitute. That motion carries 10-1, with Mr. Wembley voting no.
All right. Are there any other issues to come before the body today? For the entire body? If not, we are going to hold our meeting 13 days from today because of the commission request to have their meeting here 2 weeks from today. So our next meeting will be Wednesday, June 25th, 10 a.m. One of the committees will meet after that meeting to be decided today. All right, we stand adjourned.
Madam Chairman,